During this video segment, I will go through the admin area of the Staff Evaluations module to Curriculum Track. The users database and the announcements database are shared databases between the curriculum mapping tool of Curriculum Track as well as Staff Evaluations. So if I click on one of those, note that it's going back to Curriculum Track and it's working in here. So the users database and the announcements, we can go in here and, for instance, if we add an announcement, you can specify if it's for both Curriculum Track and Staff Evaluations, or if you only want that to be for Staff Evaluations. So let's go back to Staff Evaluations. Likewise, the users database is shared as well. Staff Evaluation Tools. This terms, I should say. This is an area where you can specify, in particular with your standards, if you like the terminology of domain, standard, and evidence, or if you would like to use some different terminology. So for instance, if I go to our standards and I pull up this list right here, this would be considered our domains. These are considered our standards themselves that we're going to evaluate the staff according to. And then these are just teacher evidence that kind of further clarifies those as information. So that's where you can change that terminology. Staff eval are the evaluation templates. This is something that you'll probably do the first year and hopefully won't have to do a lot after that. So if you're asked to add an evaluation template, you give that template a name. So maybe we want to have a support staff template, and we actually use a different list of standards just for them. Then the next question it's going to ask us is the standards list. Which list of standards do you want to have? So before you go through this process, you'll probably want to work with our support team to figure out which standards you're going to be evaluating staff against. So I'm going to go ahead and just choose this classroom ops, or this, I don't know, we'll just choose one of these for now. And then you can specify your rubric. So it's a numeric rubric. Because we do some analytics with this where we do some averaging and so forth. So if you have a 3-point rubric, you might want to put a 1, 2, and 3. If it's a 4-point rubric, put a 1 through 4. And you can actually specify 4 through 1 or 1 through 4. In other words, ascending or descending. And then you can put a descriptor if you want to. So exceeds, this one is proficient or meets, this one is basic, and we'll just say this one is minimal. That's probably not the one I want to put here. Let's put that other one instead, advanced. So you can put any rubric values, and then you can also specify which fields of data, and these are more the narrative, things that teachers will and reviewers will type in. So accommodations. Or accommodations, I meant to say, or whatever field you might want to have. So I'll just type in just one field for now, like we'll put recommendations. And we'll click save. And so now I have that template created. And here's, I think I called it the support template. I maybe should have called it support staff. So let's change that. And I'll save that again. The next thing down then is, and they're kind of in order. Like I said, this is one that you'll probably do initially with the software and hopefully not have to do it year to year. This next item down though is something you'll set up each year. So if I'm setting up, for instance, the 2022-23 school year, looks like I already had one of those. So maybe I'll do looking ahead to 23-24 school year. I can choose which template that I want to use. So I'll use the support staff one I just did. Are you planning on having teachers self-evaluate themselves? If not, leave that unchecked. And so maybe we're not going to, and we're just going to have reviewers or supervisors evaluating them. If you want to have self-evaluations, include that. You can specify who's going to be reviewed. If you have groups set up, you can take an entire group, like this group right here, and you can click on it, and notice it checks everybody under that group then. I'm just going to do this group right here. If it's all staff, you just check all those. How many evaluations are you going to do? Is it going to be 2 or 3 or 4? In this case, we're going to be doing 2 evaluations, both a fall and a spring evaluation. And you can also decide if you're going to do an end of year summative as well, just by checking or unchecking this. And you can specify the date range. So this is going to be, I think we said 23. So I'll do 9/1 through 12/31/23. So that's going to be our fall. For our spring, I'm going to do 1/1/2024. And I'm going to have, we want to have those done by, we'll say the 15th of 24. And then the summative assessment, we're going to start on that on 2024, April 15, and that needs to be done by, let's say, June 1st. So I can specify those dates and click Save. What that allows us to do is, if we're not in that date range, then that isn't even going to show up on our radar as something we need to do right now. So I'll go ahead and click that and add that in. Now by adding those in, now it would add that to our reviewer tools here. So for instance, if I pull up a teacher, let's see. It's not showing up here. I'm thinking that's because this teacher maybe is not one of those in the support staff. But ultimately, once that's added in, it should show the fall and the spring and the summative like what we just had here. And if it is something that we can do at this point, it'll allow me to start it. But for instance, this one's not available because of the date range as an example. The last item under here is the utilities. This is something where you could turn off or turn on, saying that you're willing to share your list of standards that you're utilizing with other schools in the system through this tool. So maybe they want to be able to see those standards, and you're allowing others to benefit from the work that you've done. So that concludes this video on the admin area within the Staff Evaluations tool.